There you go. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, 7 p.m. Heidrich.
Here.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Patke.
Here.
Pettit. Reed.
Yep.
Scornia.
Here.
Solentrup.
Here.
Wessels.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated February 7th, 2022? Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Patke.
Aye.
Reed.
Yep.
Scornia.
Yes.
Wessels.
Aye.
I need a motion.
Need a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Hopemar, second by Packy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Approval and adjustment of agenda. I just need a motion.
Just need a motion.
Make a motion.
Need a motion?
Second.
Motion by
Heidrich.
Heidrich, second by Holtmeyer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments, and reappointments. Police department reappointments.
Evening, Council. Received a letter for reappointment of two officers. Police Officer Betsy Schultz and Rebecca Chaplin. Officer Schultz is a detective with the department, and Officer Chaplin's a new officer. This will be her first year. As in the letter, it says both of them are exemplary employees, perform outstanding work, and they are a credit to the community and the department. I'm very proud. I would request that you reappoint them.
I make that motion. Second.
And a motion by Holtmeyer, second by Heidrich, to approve Becky Schultz and Rebecca Chapman to terms March 1, 2023 and March 18, 2023.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approved.
Chief, how long has Detective Schultz been with you?
I think about 12 years, somewhere in there.
How many?
I think 12. She started on the road several years and then moved into detective. You don't want to be interrogated by her. She'll make you confess.
Look what you did to the Grinch.
I know. Thank you, Council.
Public hearings, rezoning number 9 and number 11 Burnside.
Good evening, Council. Tonight on your agenda is a request to rezone. It's a duplex on Burnside Street here. It's got two addresses because if it is a duplex, 9 and 11 Burnside. It is just two houses up from the termination of the north side of Burnside Street. They are requesting to rezone this property from R2 overlay to R3 multifamily. So the R2 overlay currently allows, so I'll go to the zoning map here. You can see this whole block, it's yellow, is R2 overlay. Everything in this area is in that district. That zoning, the R2 allows for two-family, and the overlay district in this part of town allows for single-family uses as well. And the best example of that overlay district really is this area of Burnside, because everything on the west side of the street here is a duplex, and everything on the east side is a single-family structure. So it really fits into that R2 overlay, having both uses on this street. In the packet, there should have, in my staff report and then attached to the application from the applicant, they submitted photos that showed when this structure was built, I believe in the 80s, that it was actually constructed with 3 meters, so 3 electric meters and then water meters as well. And so they are interested in placing a basement unit that would have a walkout unit on the back here to add a third apartment basically to this duplex. And like I said, R2 overlay does not allow multifamily and anything above 2 units. So in order to do that, they had to go through a rezoning. Given that this area is completely in the R2 overlay, there's nothing else in the proximity that has any multifamily. You know, when you get closer to 3rd Street or 5th, it starts transitioning. You have a mix of uses, but really in this area, it's primarily, you know, single family. Even a duplex, if they were to be developed today, goes by single family attached. We consider those traditional duplexes now a single family attached and not a type of multifamily. And so in staff's recommendation, approving this rezoning to an R3 will result in what we call spot zoning. It allows, it's whenever you create a zoning district that has nothing compatible with it in the direct area, and I think you set a precedent there by approving that to possibly allowing future spot zonings throughout the community. And so we do recommend denial of this request and recommend keeping it as R2 overlay and just having 2 units there. We had this discussion at Planning and Zoning last week, and although adding a single unit may not really have a significant detriment because they'd have to provide off-street parking there, it's really could only have, you know, a minor increase in density. We still think it doesn't create a good precedent for allowing a type of spot zoning where it is not currently in the neighborhood. P&Z reviewed this last week, like I said, and did unanimously vote to deny it as well. And so that requires tonight a supermajority in order to pass that. On rezonings only, if Planning and Zoning recommends denial, you have to have a supermajority at council to pass.
Which is 6 votes.
Correct. Thank you.
Sal, in the picture, it looks like a single-family home, and according to the blueprint given to us, it looks like a single-family home. Is it separated upstairs and downstairs now?
It's a duplex. There's 2 units there.
Side by side?
Yeah, I think the plan that you have is for a possible layout of that 3rd unit.
He's got an actual photo.
They're talking about the photo. It was in
Yeah, I'm just looking at the
packet.
straight photo, and it just looks like a single-family home with a 2-car garage, but that's okay. I mean, either way, I'm just kind of making sure if it was an upstairs or downstairs, and then this is asking for a third.
This would
The
be a
third
third.
would be in the basement.
Correct.
The basement with the pictures.
Well, right,
The
looking-
pictures that show the basement, that's where they're there.
Any more questions from the council?
I think
Okay, this is a public hearing, so if there's anybody in the stands that'd like to come up, come to the podium, give us your name and address.
Sir, my name is Martin Hartzell. I live at 2050.
Speaking to the mic, sir.
Oh, my name's Martin Hartzell. I live at 2052 Skyline Drive in Pacific. You're right. It's an upstairs, downstairs, and that gentleman was right about it having meters from the past. I don't know what, we bought it, and later we saw the meters, and we thought, you know what, maybe we could put another unit, because there's a wide staircase going down to the basement. It's like 5 foot wide, and it has egress windows on the one end, and we were going to put a drive in. So, that's really that's our deal. We were going to put another single, a single lane drive in, which would make it 2 cars, no street parking, So, thank you very much.
Anyone else? If we're all done with the discussion, we'll take accept it into the minutes.
Make a motion.
Motion by Hopemeyer, accept in the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Second by
Sure.
Patke.
Second by Patkey. All in favor, say yes.
Aye.
Against? By your vote, you pass.
Put it in the minutes.
Accepted into the minutes.
Right.
Yes.
An ordinance rezoning number 9 and number 11 Burnside from R2 Single Family Residential District to R3 Multifamily Residential District in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Homework.
Introduced by Councilman Hopemeyer.
This ordinance is written in the affirmative, so just to make sure.
So if we agree with staff and P&Z, we vote nay.
Correct.
Sal, and the recommendation from staff comes from the fact that it was just in the R2 overlay, and we're spot zoning is the main concern. Not that it's not suitable apartment, all that stuff clears.
Correct. Well, they'd have to get an inspection done to make sure the windows meet egress and access and all that. That would all be done regardless. the future. But yes, it is because of the spot zoning.
Because Jeff, you take a look at those windows, they're pretty high.
Yeah, and that's what I'm just looking at. I was wondering if we have to determine that, or that's
You don't have
determined
to
after the
determine
fact.
that at all. If you would vote in favor of it to be an additional unit, then they would have to get occupancy from the building department, and all of those things with the windows that you're pointing out will go through the building department to determine whether or not they meet that. If they don't, then they would tell them what they have to do to go ahead and meet that egress, requirements.
One of the things is that he'd have to add more driveway, a place for the
Yes, they would have to add, I believe, 2 additional spots,
Uh-huh.
parking spaces.
I think the whole idea of the zoning plan, and it's been around, and again, we asked those people to put that together. They put together a zoning plan. I have a hard time going against the plan that was put in place and has been followed, it's there for a reason. So, I have a hard time with going outside that and making exceptions to it, especially one like this, when there's nothing anywhere close.
Ask for any other comments by council?
No more discussion with the council. We'll have a second reading.
An ordinance rezoning number 9 and number 11 Burnside from R2 Single Family Residential District to R3 Multifamily Residential District in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Scornia?
No.
Patke?
Nay.
Wessels?
Nay.
Reed?
Nay.
Heidrich?
Nay.
Holtmeyer?
Nay.
It failed.
Okay.
Next reading.
Next hearing.
Special use permit 406 East 3rd Street.
All right. This request is actually right up the street from the one we just looked at. So this is Burnside and Hooker Street, and right on 3rd in between those 2 blocks. The applicant, I've highlighted here in blue, they are requesting to have a special use permit to operate a short-term lodging, more commonly known as an Airbnb or VRBO, as we've commonly seen. As you can see, I've highlighted in the area on these 2 yellow dots. There are 2 existing ones, a block and a half to the east on Locust Street. These uses are what staff's recommendation are still residential in nature. They just allow for turnovers less than 30 days rather than a rental that would be longer than 30 days. And they still have to go through all residential occupancy inspections on an annual basis, register for the bed tax, and follow all other nuisance and noise codes. So like we've seen these in the past few months, we do recommend approval of this. It does have, sorry, I should have shown, it is R2 overlay as well. You can see where that district is. But in this area, you can see it does have off-street parking on site. So any renters would not have to utilize on-street parking only. So P&Z reviewed this last week as well and voted unanimously to approve it.
And there was nobody no neighbors that opposed it either. That was there at the meeting, so just so you guys know.
Correct.
Again, this is a public hearing, so if there's anybody in the stands that'd like to talk about it, come up to the podium. If not, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion accepting the minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Packey, second by Heidrich. Put it in the minutes.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Passed.
An ordinance granting a special use permit to utilize 406 East 3rd Street as a vacation rental in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilman Packey.
Any other discussion?
Any discussion in a public hearing? Anybody in the stands?
No, nobody from the stands, just the council now.
Oh, sorry.
Well, though, you had a hearing last, and then you closed that
Okay.
out, so.
Any discussion by the council?
We're good, Your Honor.
Well, thank you, sir. Second reading?
An ordinance granting a special use permit to utilize 406 East 3rd Street as a vacation rental in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Scornia?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Reed?
Yep.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Oops, Sullentrop.
Aye.
Hey, real quick question, Sal. Can I ask Locust Street School Building, the administration building, that's an R2 overlay. Is that's okay? I just
Yeah,
noticed that in the
so,
picture.
our zoning code allows public school facilities to really be in any zone district.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Voluntary annexation, the Highlands.
All right. So actually, the next two items on your agenda, four technically, because there's two public hearings and two ordinances. So you have E and F are together, G and H are together. I'm going to do one presentation. If you saw in my staff report, it's kind of a complex application. It really includes 6 requests based on what they're doing. 3 of them pertaining to voluntary annexation, 3 of them pertaining to zoning to match that new annexation. But the property in question, this is considered the Highland Meadows development. It's about 90 acres here from Highway 100 all the way down to this is where the current city limits are on the southern end, where the Marquardt Farm begins. And then this is a fairly old aerial. We haven't gotten updated aerials on our GIS yet, but obviously High Street has been constructed down to about where my laser pointer is now. And so this area highlighted in blue here is the proposed annexation area, excluding the farmhouse. You'll see there on the next exhibit that we're excluding. The applicant has requested to exclude that area from this request, but the map highlights that because that currently is one parcel. It is currently, again, this area is outside of the city limits, so there's kind of 2 parts to this. There's the annexation and then the zoning. So when this area was developed, you can see all of this northern half of Highland Meadows was considered commercial, also annexed and brought in as C2 general commercial for big box and retail and outlots. And as you went south, you can see this area was zoned pre-2017 to senior community district, which allows for the development that has happened there, that has already actually been occupied. And then this area here in the lighter blue is outside the city limits. The reason tonight why you have so many requests is because you can see as this area in purple was annexed and zoned before High Street was built, and as High Street was constructed further south, the topography and what was approved with the plat, you can see it didn't actually follow that property line, it actually split. So you have this small sliver now on the east side of High Street that is still zoned senior community district that is not part of the senior community development. It will actually be part of this area to the east, to the east that is getting developed. And so there's kind of a lot going on here, but this was the easiest way, I think, we worked with the applicant to be able to explain what was being requested. But I'll go through the annexation request first. So everything on the east side of this map, on these colors, you can got the red, pink, and orange is what is proposed to be annexed. So this number 2 here, where you have the red, is proposed to come in as C2, general commercial, and the reason being is this lot already exists, and they're looking to square that off as essentially this will be the last commercial lot. So they're requesting to bring it in as C2, which is adjoining to the commercial zoning to the north of that. And so you can see that's as High Street comes down, this is commercial, this is the senior community, and then this is what they're bringing as commercial. This pink here, they're requesting tract 5, it's got the 4 on here. They're proposing to annex it as R1C, single family attached. So again, that's that zoning district that we allow for duplexes. And so essentially this will be a street off here that have duplexes. And then 6 here, tract 4, is annexed proposing as R1D, single family residential. And that's the zoning district that we have. It was created, I think, in 2012 that allows for 7,500 square foot lots. That's what you've seen 95% of our new housing since I've been here, since 2016, has come in as everything in Overlook Weber Farms, Stonecrest. That's that R1D single family residential. And it's important to point out here that there is this area furthest south is directly adjacent to where Sophia Drive is in Autumn Leaf. So when Autumn Leaf was constructed, I believe in 2006, it was proposed all along to have a second way in and out of this subdivision over to High Street. There's a multitude of reasons for that. What's that, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean, two separate ways. Sophia Drive and Emily Lane were both built to go ahead and.
Correct. This area of Emily Lane is not proposed to be annexed yet, but this area next to Sophia is. And so, one, it is important to make that final connection because it's been in our comp plan. It is efficient for our emergency services to have a second way in and out. It actually allows us to loop a water line to have better water quality. And lastly, actually, a subdivision of this size is not permitted in the fire code to only have one way in and out. I think a good example of that, and if I saw fire chief is here, when there was a fire on one of these first lots here a couple of years ago, and they had to shut down the street, there was not only any access for anyone who lives here, if there was another emergency further down, they wouldn't be able to, get adequate help to anyone further down there. So, with that,
Hey, Sal.
yeah,
Could you go back?
The exhibit,
No, back.
I think you want the annexation one?
Yeah,
Get the,
I'm
there.
going.
There you go.
there. The difference between 4 and 6, you said they're both residential, but one's R1C, one's R1D, but I thought you just said that they were both the same thing.
Nope.
Explain the difference between 4 and 6.
So 4 and 6, 4 is duplexes. That's the pink. R1C is single-family attached, where it's traditional duplex where you have a shared wall. 6
Okay.
is traditional single-family.
Okay,
Yeah, so
And that-
duplexes here.
And that goes down to 7,500 square feet on R1D, correct?
Yes.
So you understand that on tract 5, where he's got the R1C, that's just the duplex, but as I say, not only do they have the shared wall, but the lot line goes right down the middle of that for purposes, it's a zero setback on the side.
okay.
And
Yeah.
that section between 2 and 4 is the farmhouse that does not want to be annexed? Is
Correct,
Future
yeah.
development.
Future
that-
development,
Got a hole in that rectangle.
So they're still going to be out of town even though we're all around them?
correct, which has happened before. It's just if they're not ready to annex, the way to get them, and the only way to force annexation is by an election, which obviously we
Right.
haven't done, so. And so, those are the 3 requests for the annexation in these variety of colors. Commercial, single-family attached, traditional single-family residential. The next 3 requests that are pertaining to the zoning, because I mentioned that High Street was built a little bit to the west here, you have this strip that is still senior community district. Well, obviously, it's too narrow to be developed individually, and the senior community developments over here, that's not gonna be,
It's everything on the west side.
everything on the west is senior community, nothing here in this purple is going to be developed as senior community. And so they're requesting to rezone parcels 1, 3, and 5 here to match what their annexation. So this 1, they're proposing to bring in as C2, this 3, they're proposing to bring in as R1C for duplexes, and 5, this tiny sliver, rezone it to match what's being brought in here to R1D. And so you got 3 annexations for the new zoning, and then 3 rezonings to match those along here. In staff's recommendation, this really cleans up those parcels there. Since High Street kind of creates this sliver, it cleans that up.
The people that own those lots also own that, it just never was zoned,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep. This is all still under one owner.
I got you.
And we would then intend to extend High Street to catch both Sophia and Emily.
At this time, I think it's just for Sophia.
Correct. We wouldn't be able to,
This is a separate farm
Yeah.
right here.
this is a different owner where Emily comes up to, so we wouldn't be able to,
That's
until we have a plat on there, we wouldn't have anything to comment on.
Correct.
I would also add to that, when prior to the change of ownership from the Jasper Farm to the current owner, the city was able to acquire what was called a corridor from High Street to the Marquardt Farm. Basically what that is per legal description, the city acquired a 400-foot wide swath corridor to where a public street could be built at any given moment. Now, obviously, it hasn't happened using public dollars to
And
this
how far
point.
south does that go?
It
It
goes to
goes
the
all the way
Marquardt
to
Farm.
where the
Black line.
no, it goes all the
Well,
way.
the corridor goes all the way to here.
Corridor goes all the way to here. That's-
Current construction stops right here.
So just as a point of just clarification, that was done
That was done. with-
prior to the current owner purchasing that.
Correct, that's correct.
So, and like I said, staff supported this plan. This was something that we actually, between two planning and zoning meetings, sat down with the developers and their engineers to kind of come up with that exhibit because of how complicated it was. I think this is the cleanest way to get the zoning cleaned up where that strip is, and it provides a good transition from the commercial down to the single-family residential, where you have the commercial still to the north. Now you have duplexes, just very slightly more dense, and then single-family along Sophia that matches what it's connecting to single-family in Autumn Leaf. So we think it's a good transition as you go from the highway down to the south, and it follows the comprehensive plan that we've had since, well, the last one was 2013, but this was developed even before that, so our 2003 comprehensive plan. So,
Sal, are you aware, as the applicant expressed, when they're going to go ahead and submit preliminary plat?
at their next P&Z meeting. They mentioned, yeah, Kurt Arnerstall, I didn't see him tonight. He was at Planning and Zoning and said that he is going to submit a plat at the March Planning and Zoning meeting. So,
March 14th.
yep. And Planning and Zoning reviewed both of these items and voted unanimously on both the annexation 3 designations and the rezoning, all 3 designations. Voted to approve.
Again, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the stands that'd like to come up and talk about this?
I know this is not in what you have here tonight, but
State your name and your address first, Wayne.
my name's Wayne Brinker, and I live west of town, but our farm is on the corner right there. And years ago, they used to have a plan for an east-west roadway. What's your plans with High Street? You're not going to stop right there at Marquardt Farm. Do you have any kind of plans laid out for the future?
We do. And I don't know if you want to put up and pull
I
up a
would
map.
like to see that.
Thank you, Sal.
While he's pulling that up, Wayne, there is, I'll try to describe it until he gets to it. It's to connect or continue High Street further south beyond where this map shows. One connection that could be made would be going over to Highway A, further south of the Marquardt Farm. Now he's got it showing up. It's item number 15. And the first connection you could make, if you can see number 14 right there, approximately right there, going east, would tie back into Highway A. And that would be hopefully a 4-way intersection with Chamber Drive.
Chamber.
And the plan still calls for it to go further south, which may have a little bit more difficulty to try to go ahead and get, but the plan is to go further south, as you can see down there where 15 is at the very bottom of that page. And then it continues over and goes east, intersects with 47, and goes all the way over to South Point Road where it dead ends to the east.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Any more discussion?
This is on the annexation.
Very sorry.
I have a question about the intersection of High and 100. I know there's an agreement that at sometime in the future, there'll be an island built by Casey's. So you have to go out around Casey's to get out of the building, so there'll be
You want to
stacked-
clarify that, John?
Yeah, I can address that. Yeah, so when the Casey's development occurred, which is at the southwest corner of 47 Don Avenue, that kind of square, we were able to work out with them that it would be a right-in, right-out, no sooner than 3 years after their occupancy. After that 3-year mark happened, we could put in that right-in, right-out whenever we so choose. So it's a way of getting access control so tight to the intersection. So we don't have a situation like Phoenix Center Drive, hypothetically. So they actually paid us an amount of money, I believe that was transferred into the transportation fund. You have those dollars, they paid that money. When that occurs, I don't know if we know that yet, but really when it becomes an issue and based on a traffic study or some other means, we have the ability to put that right in, right out in. That would make entrance into Casey's right in. It would make exit from Casey's on the High Street Direct right out. If you wanted to go back to the intersection, you have to loop around Don Avenue and go back up again. Is that?
Well, I didn't want to muddy up this annexation, this rezoning, but I wanted to make sure we haven't forgot about that.
Yes.
We have not
Still
forgot
exists.
about that. And that was, again, that was one way to get some sort of access control along High Street that we currently do not have in the current zoning regulations. For
Yeah.
example, we don't want driveways off of High Street. That was one way to mitigate that.
Was there a time limit on that?
Yeah, you could not do it
Sooner than-
3 years from occupancy. Year 3 plus 1, you could put it in. 3 years plus 1 day, you could install it.
After 3 years, if we see that it's an issue, we have the funds available to go ahead and make that a right-in, right-out.
And the right to do so.
Yep. And I think at this point,
10 years from now?
Yes?
So
100
the
years
idea
from
there
now,
was, is,
whatever.
let's not
But, I
make it a
mean,
right.
but think about it logically. I mean, anybody that's pulling into Casey's is gonna wanna go back out onto the highway for the most part. I'd say 90% of the traffic.
Right.
So are they gonna be able to turn around and don, no
Yes.
problem?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Just so they don't come out
just
right at
goes
the
out around.
intersection.
So we have, and it'll probably be in a plat in the coming months. Don Avenue is planned to be kind of an outer road all the way to Pottery. This is where that apartment complex is proposed. And I think, with that outer road going through there, and if you had this connection, that may be the time where we would say, okay, this right-in, right-out needs to come out, but then this would be an obvious main access to Casey's because this outer road is now all the way through.
So MoDOT typically, in their, they call it their engineering policy guide, does not like entrances onto their highways within 270-ish feet of an intersection. That one does not meet that. It's closer than 270. But since the city doesn't have access control written in our code, we could not tell them no, flat no. So that was a way to mitigate that and meet in the middle to allow their business to start up. Why would you require it if nothing was happening to the south? Fix the problem when it starts to happen.
Right.
And that's why we did it that way. It was a way to avoid a Phoenix Center Drive, rabbit trail.
And just for clarification on that, the reason why the city received that at the time was that Casey's needed a special use
Correct.
permit
Correct.
to go ahead and put the gas station in there. And that was
Bingo.
one of the conditions.
I got you. Good plan. Yep.
Any other questions on Mullen?
Any other questions? If not, we'll take a motion to accept it in the minutes.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Hopemar, second by Packey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Accepted into the minutes.
Accepted in the minutes.
An ordinance annexing approximately 11 acres of property located along High Street into the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Atkey.
Introduced by Patkey.
This is the ordinance that follows for the annexation. See if there's any other questions.
Any other questions
Council?
by the council? If not, second reading.
An ordinance annexing approximately 11 acres of property located along High Street into the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Scornia,
Yes,
Solentrep,
Yes.
Patke,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Reed,
Yep.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Your vote, you pass the ordinance.
Rezoning 426 West Front.
No.
Oh, sorry, I skipped one. Rezoning 1750 High Street. Sorry.
This is just the a hearing on the, basically the rezonings that Sal went over in the previous exhibit, the exhibit that's still up there.
1, 3, and 5.
Yes.
Yes, for 1, 3, and 5. Just open the floor if any comment.
Any comments from anybody on the public hearing? Council? Not, we'll take a motion to,
Make a motion to accept in the minutes.
motion by Packey, second by
Holtmeyer.
Hopmeyer to accept it in the minutes. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
An ordinance rezoning 3 acres east of High Street corridor from Senior Community District to C2 General Commercial, R1C Single Family Attached, and R1D Single Family Residential in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Atkey.
Introduced by Councilman Packey.
Any other questions by council?
Any other questions by council?
Nope.
If not, we'll do second reading.
An ordinance rezoning 3 acres east of High Street corridor from Senior Community District to C2 General Commercial, R1C Single Family Attached, and R1D Single Family Residential in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Scornia,
Yes,
Solentrep,
Yes.
Patke,
Yes.
Wessels, Reed,
Yep.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
By your vote, you pass the ordinance.
Rezoning 426 West Front Street.
All right. This is my last thing on the agenda, I swear. So we received a request to rezone 426 West Front Street. This is actually, it's commonly known as the Tibby Power Building. It is directly adjacent to the Front Street Cellars, and then to the east is the Corncob Pipe Factory. It is currently zoned M1 light industrial. It's been that way ever since our zoning map was created, back when it was a power, well, it was a power company, and then it was an light industrial use, and this whole area got brought in as light industrial at the time. As I'm sure you're all aware, about 4 months ago, we completely redrew our boundaries of downtown, as light industrial is not really, if it's not already existing, we're not seeing really that as a new use to buildings. When buildings are getting redeveloped, they're typically going into our C3 downtown district compatible uses. At this point, at that time, the applicant preferred not to be included in that. They said they wanted to keep their options open for an industrial use if needed. However, they do have a user now that is compatible with that C3, and so they've requested now to come in with this. So it'll all match this light blue, and it will be make a uniform district for our C3 downtown district. So staff obviously recommends approval, just as we did 4 months ago. P&Z voted on this last week as well, and unanimously voted in favor. So
Has the owner talked about any future use for it? That
I know they have a tenant, but I don't know if they're ready to officially announce. I'll let them do that.
Again, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the stands who'd like to come up to the podium and talk about this, come on up. If not, I take a motion to accept it in the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Packey, second by Hydrich. To accept this in the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
An ordinance rezoning 426 West Front Street from M2 Industrial to C3 Downtown District in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. Any other discussion by the council?
An ordinance rezoning 426 West Front Street from M2 Industrial to C3 Downtown District in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Scornia?
Yes.
Solentrip?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Wessels? Reed?
Yep.
Hydrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
By your vote, you pass the ordinance.
Citizens' comments?
Is there anybody in the stands that would like to come up to the podium and talk about anything that is not on the agenda?
All right, move on. Oh.
Actually, I'm approaching it in a different light this evening. Just a thank you to staff for what they've done on the Autumn Leaf and High Street extension, getting those connected. As a resident of Autumn Leaf, I live on Anniston Drive, and it's always been a concern of accessibility into and out of that subdivision, and I know staff has put a tremendous amount of time in the background. So it's a very sincere thank you as a resident of Autumn Leaf subdivision getting that done. I appreciate that and all the time that they've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Anyone else?
Report of department heads, delinquent real estate and personal property taxes as of December 31st, 2021.
Make a motion to approve.
Good evening, council. This is just the annual report for filing. Franklin County collects our taxes for us, and as you can see from your report, it is comparable to last year. So actually the numbers are a little bit lower, which is a good thing. So they've actually collected a little bit more as of January. So considering with COVID and everything, so.
That happens every year the same way. There's nothing we can do about that, is there?
Well, I mean, this is as of January, so
Yeah.
there's always, people that
I know.
don't, Christmas is right there.
Mary, there's
so.
nothing city can do about that at all? We just wait for the county to collect them?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Essentially,
this is
yes.
people that did not pay as of December 31st.
Right, I understand that.
So,
But yeah, with that going.
I mean, we can't go out and force people to pay, but,
Yeah, we would hope we would have.
but Franklin County makes every effort to pay. And then we do in our audit, you'll see another figure as of, like in June. We take it and have another figure, and that number, it shows like the collection rate's like 98%. So we have another figure that shows in the audit. But this is literally as of December 31st, who did not mail their payments in. So when you're talking over $2 million,
We already paid.
so,
There is the procedure that the county has if you don't pay your real estate taxes for 3 years. And so that's
right. I mean, they do have that process, but,
correct.
and then you have to pay your personal property taxes, otherwise you can't get your license.
Astonishing is how many people are on there for personal property tax. How do you have a car license?
Well, they don't get it until they have to get it renewed. So it sits there unpaid
Some of
until
those
they have to
things,
renew
though,
it.
are 7, 8 years old.
Right.
Well, I don't know if they've moved out of the area.
You don't know if they moved out of the area or
Right.
the thing that they needed to go ahead and get renewed, didn't get renewed.
I saw where one person I know has died.
And that could be,
I saw some
you
there
know.
as well. Correct.
But some of these are like 60 cents, 70 cents.
Yeah.
So we're spending more than in stamps and the bill.
Well, we're not. That's
Well,
part of
that's
our
Franklin County
contractual
is, though.
arrangement with the county. The county is. But I understand your point.
Never mind.
There's no more discussion. I'll take a motion to approve.
Make motion.
Second.
Motion by
Motion by Hopmeyer, second by Scornia. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
2022-2023 MoDOT traffic safety grants.
Council, you have a letter about the MoDOT grant, Missouri Department of Traffic, and the Traffic Safety Grant. We do this grant yearly. This is a 100% grant. They pay out all the money. The city doesn't pay anything. We always apply for 3 categories every year. So this year we're applying hazardous moving, which is traffic enforcement, $6,000 for manpower. The Let's SAC Conference, which is a law enforcement traffic safety association conference, we're sending officers to that at $1,700 for the training. That conference gets them up to date in traffic law, gives them some very good training in traffic and traffic enforcement and traffic statistics. We have DWI enforcement grant, $3,000 in manpower. Then there is a DWI DRE conference we're sending officers to. They learn additional investigative measures for DWI, plus it also helps recertify our drug recognition experts. Then we have the youth alcohol enforcement, that's $5,000 for manpower. And that's usually a pair of officers going out and looking for those underage people that are drinking intoxicants. Total of the grant is $7,200. Again, that's 100% provided and funded by the MoDOT, so the city is out nothing. We are currently, because of, in the past, MoDOT has recognized that they're having problems getting other agencies and officers to work the grant. So they've gone from paying time and a half anytime you work the grant to paying double time when you work the grant. So officers that work the grant will get double time when they work the grant. So I just need your approval to proceed with the grant, and then there's a paper that each councilwoman need to sign, and the mayor, and then we send that off with the paperwork. So,
We'll ask you to sign before you leave tonight.
No more discussion. We'll take a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion by Hopmeyer,
Second.
second by Packey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
thank you.
Ordinances, resolutions, an ordinance amending the 2021 budget for the period of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021 for the city of Washington, Missouri.
Packey.
Introduced by Councilman Packey.
Sorry, Joe. Second.
So included in your packet is a budget amendment for 2021 budget. So in preparing for the audit, I noticed that with the final payment for the 2010 certificate of participation, our final debt service payment. I had previously done a budget amendment, but I had posted it to 2022 budget instead of 2021. So I went ahead, and that's part of this budget amendment. And then while I was doing this budget amendment, I went ahead and took the opportunity. We had some revenues that we had conservatively budgeted. So I went ahead and took that opportunity to go ahead and increase those revenues, and also just some different items. For example, like the industrial park, we had budgeted in both 21 and 22's budget, and we didn't purchase it until 22, and that's a bigger dollar amount. So I went ahead and adjusted that out of the 21 budget. So just kind of some cleanup items for the 21 budget to kind of help out with the audit. So that's the purpose of this budget amendment, is just to go through and kind of clean up a few items and adjust for the industrial park and that final debt service payment. So, and adjust for some bigger revenue sources that were actually, it's a good thing because they were higher than what we anticipated, so. Any questions?
Negative numbers always scare me, you know.
No more questions?
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks.
We don't make much.
Need a motion and
Need a motion and a second?
No.
motion to approve?
Second, no.
Oh,
It's an
ordinance.
ordinance.
Oh, this is the.
Second
ordinance,
reading.
sorry. I was thinking-
An ordinance amending the 2021 budget for the period of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021 for the city of Washington, Missouri. Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Wessels? Reed?
Yep.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance.
An ordinance accepting the quote from Civic Plus and to approve the purchase of recreation software by the city of Washington, Missouri.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilman Packey.
Wayne.
Evening, council. This is a purchase of a software extract. Back in July of 2020, we purchased new software that allows the department to do things where citizens can book things online. Overall, the software has made Casey, my admin's life a lot easier. There's less work, less reporting to do. However, there is one report that Mary thinks that we need to have in order to, be in good graces with the auditors. There's a report that Casey's doing now that she has to modify in order to submit it to Tyler, which is Finance Department's software. Am I explaining this right? And so in order to prevent human error in that report, we would need this additional software, which is an additional $10,500. It's a one-time fee, and that would prevent human error in the reporting process, I believe, correct?
It's more than that.
So I'm asking your permission to purchase the additional software for $10,500. It has been budgeted in this current year's fiscal year budget.
Thank you, Wayne. Second reading. No more discussion with council. We'll have second reading.
Sure. Why not?
An ordinance accepting the quote from Civic Plus and to approve the purchase of recreation software by the city of Washington, Missouri. Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Reed?
You bet.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the city of Washington, Missouri to enter into a contract with Modern Pool Management Corporation doing business as Midwest Pool Management of America for the operations and management of the Agnes Nolting Aquatic Complex.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilman Packey.
Painful. I've never been a fan of this, but it's one of those deals where I've been convinced by Park Board that it's necessary to run the pool, so I go along with it, but it still seems like a lot of money every year. Wayne will explain more.
Yes. And it's not getting any easier as far as staffing goes. So this before you tonight is the annual pool contract by Midwest Pool Management, which supplies lifeguards for the pool, also manages the pool throughout the season, and also opens it and closes it down. So there's time and manpower in opening the pool every year and then closing it down, getting all the water out of the pipes and things like that. And so in addition to that is the lifeguarding fee. And so for 2022, the contract would be $180,870. And keep in mind that includes last year, this was new last year, keeps us open during the fair, 1 week after the fair, 2 additional weekends in August, and Labor Day weekend. And then in addition to that, Park Board made a recommendation at their last Park Board meeting. We had a number of requests last year. So last year the pool closed 1 week before the school district started. In that week, it was really hot that week. We had a number of requests, number of calls, I would say. If I had to guess, probably about 10 calls asking why the pool was closed. And so I told Park Board that we would look into what it would cost to keep the pool open an additional week. That cost to have the pool open Monday through Friday, so that would be August, this year it would be August 15th through the 19th, is $8,095. And Park Board made a recommendation made a recommendation to council to keep the pool open an additional week this year. So that means the pool would be open Monday through Friday, August 1st through August 19th, and then weekends of August 20th, 21st, August 27th, 28th, and then Labor Day weekend, September 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Wayne, for that $8,095, how many staff, how many people will they have on staff out there for $8,095 for that week?
I'm not sure. I'd have to.
Probably whatever the
I'd have to
typical-
double check.
It's not going to change staffing
Well,
what it is
so,
any other
I mean,
week.
So guesstimation.
There's 8 lifeguards and 2 subs and
And a manager.
2 administrator and another, or administrator and 2 others.
One, I think there's
Over
usually
13 people, I think. I
manager.
don't want to speak out of turn, but.
No, you're pretty much spot on.
Who does the concession?
That's in-house.
We do that.
We do.
And what did the chamber have any concerns about being open during the fair?
No, last year there's the whole parking lot issue, but we managed to get around that. We have our own little parking there, and it was kind of cut off. That back lot was cut off right where you go up to the lower level of the amphitheater. There's a drive that kind of goes in between the auditorium and I said amphitheater. I meant the auditorium, the lower level of the auditorium.
Right.
There's that drive that goes up between the pool and the auditorium. We use that parking lot mainly for staff, and then we had our pool parking in front, and then the back Bronzic lot was all fair.
I just meant, if they would feel it would affect their attendance, instead of having kids at the fair, they're at the pool.
Oh,
That wasn't a concern, I guess.
no.
Well, they got 2 options.
They were more concerned about the parking, and I worked with JB. We worked through that last year.
Plus, you have, did you go over about the credit you get for the days that the pool isn't open?
So this past year and every year, there's generally a credit, and it varies from year to year, that we don't pay out to MPM. And that's for like when the pool's closed for weather closures, if we're having a slow day at the pool and they tell staff not to come in, or they send staff home early and things like that. And so this additional $8,000 could be just absorbed into the contract.
So like, for example, I believe you had 14,000 is what you got it back
Yes.
as a credit last year. So that would be more than well to cover up the additional week. And Wayne, I've asked, if you'll remember at the last council meeting, we had a request about the passes. Wayne's going to go ahead and give that report to you again at the March 7th workshop. But the plan, I was at the park board meeting, we had another issue to go over. And they did review, they had a discussion about the fees again, and that is why you have the letter that's in your 8A, the commission, committee, and board reports, the 2022 aquatic complex fees. Their unanimous recommendation was to keep it as is with the punch cards. They feel it's, why try to fix something that's not broke? And again, and I will tell you that it's a matter of how much do you want to operate in the red, basically, for the pool? You know, in the past, we're never going to break even. It's just a matter of how much do you want to subsidize it. And I think what you'll see with Wayne, I'm just using round numbers again. I think in the prior to the new pool opening, we were somewhere anywhere between 120, 125 to 130
Yeah.
in the hole, in the red. And then last year with the new pool, we were still in the red, 45,000.
45, mhm.
So I don't want anybody thinking that we've ever tried again. I'll say it again. I said it at the last meeting. We're not trying to break even because we know that's almost impossible.
Did we have a pool management contract prior to last year?
Yes. We've had one in place for,
10 years.
At
yeah, I was
least,
going to say,
yeah,
it's
at
been a
least
long
10,
time
yeah.
since the city has, you know, managed that completely, entirely by themselves.
I guess a couple other final points to make with this. While it does go up every year, the cost of labor is going up every year too. But in this $180,000 is every year we allot $15,000, and that pays for, that's kind of separated out. It pays for lifeguards for swim lessons, but that $15,000 is offset with revenue generated by the swim lessons.
So we get that money back.
Yeah, so we get that money back.
You know what that amount is?
The revenue from swim lessons, I'd have to double check for this past year. I'm thinking we were probably a little bit lower than 15, so we didn't spend all the money. I think we were around 13,000 we generated in swim lessons, I think.
Any more discussion? Second reading?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the City of Washington, Missouri to enter into a contract with Modern Pool Management Corporation, doing business as Midwest Pool Management of America, for the operations and management of the Agnes Nulteen Aquatic Complex. Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Reed?
Yep.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Ready to vote? You approve the ordinance.
A resolution supporting the application for federal assistance from the Recreational Trails Program for Phase 3 of the Rotary Riverfront Trail expansion in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. So in this one, I just need a first and a second, a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Let's hear about it first.
She's just saying before you get it.
Who made the motion? Motion by Heidrich,
Second.
second by Holtmeyer.
So this is a resolution for grant support. I applied for a grant to connect the east and west trails. It's called the RTP grant, Recreation Trails Program grant. It's the same grant that we used to get the west trail done. And so this grant would connect the two trails. The west trail, which is right there, connects there. There'd be a crossing there. Right here is the Flag Plaza. This parking lot would get redone and make it ADA compliant, so right now there's a pretty good steep grade coming down into the road there. Then it would run around the Flag Plaza and then run the top of the hillside all the way and then connect to the east trail here. In that is a connection to the restroom, and in this grant, this would make the restroom ADA compliant and add 2 additional restrooms right there, which would be open year-round, so that would be good. Good thing. And then basically, the benefits of this project would be obviously connects the east and west trail, keeps users out of the parking lot here and here, the waterworks lot and the lower lot. Keeps them away from cars. It keeps people away from any special events that happen in this parking lot during the year, like sunset on the riverfront. It keeps people away from the waterworks building now that it's going to be rented out. We don't want people walking out the door getting ran over by a bicycle. Same thing, kind of keeps people, as they walk out of the restroom, there shouldn't be at least as many bicycles coming through here, blindsiding people as they walk out of the restroom. As I said, it corrects ADA issues in the parking lot, in the bathroom, gets the bathrooms open, a couple bathrooms open year-round, which benefits everyone down there. And then it also allows the trail to be open when the river, we're not having to deal with flooded parking lots and trying to access the trail here. It also allows the city to access the pump station over here in the old sand plant gravel parking lot when this parking lot's flooded. And that parking lot floods generally at 17?
Yeah, it's like 17.3 feet is when it gets closed, and that occurs, 3 to 6 weeks sometimes out of the year. I think in 2019, it was almost 45 weeks out of the entire year it was underwater, so.
Why do we need to take the steps that are there out?
The old steps, I think you're talking about this one right here?
Yeah.
Just because it tees into this, you could walk straight up here. It was just a better connection. Because right there, you're kind of walking up straight into the pavilion. They were just trying to get people away from this pavilion a little bit. So you'd enter there and then redo these here.
You put in railings where the pavilion is to keep people away from the pavilion.
Right there, yeah.
And there's a steep grade there that also will help keep them from falling down the hill. Correct?
Correct.
Wayne, I was wondering, it says you're going to ask for the maximum, the grant, and they expect a 20%, but it looks like
20 is minimum. And so
we're going to kick in a lot more than that, though.
we'll be at 30%. You get more points on that grant application too. The total grant's at around $366,000, and so we budgeted. John and I have been working on this kind of design and laying it out for quite some time, but we budgeted in the FY23 budget $300,000 for this project, but only specified if we got the grant, and so we'll be spending quite a bit less than that.
So the total project's going to cost more than the grant makes available, the 250.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got you.
Any other
more discussion?
questions?
I would just add one more thing real quick, that in a riverfront plan that was developed many years ago, this is kind of the location of what that connection was going to be. So again, this isn't some concept that we pulled out of thin air. That somewhat connection was in a riverfront plan from the early 2009.
The revitalization, or not, what was it called, the revital, I can't remember.
Will that be part of our,
Riverfront Development Plan
Yeah,
or something.
I didn't know the name for
will
that.
that be part of our capital sales? We had some money set aside for the.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that was, that's what capital should be.
There's no more discussion. We'll take a vote on the resolution. Is it
No.
a roll call, or we do it by, okay.
No, there's a motion by Hydrich, and then a second by Holtmeyer. We just need
All in favor?
all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? Ready to vote, you pass the resolution.
Commission, committee, and board reports, 2022 aquatic complex fees.
Yeah, Sparky Stuckenschneider signed the letter on behalf of the park board for this. Like I explained earlier, to keep the fees as they are, or as they were from last year. And Wayne will be providing a report for you at the March 7th meeting, giving you those numbers again, in case anybody from general public wants to see those numbers, because I'm sure they probably haven't seen them before unless they were paying attention to the park board meeting when you gave those back in September, October, I think, to the board at that time.
I think at one time we went over it here at council too.
Yeah, I think we did go over to council too, but I suggested that Wayne bring those numbers back to you at March meeting in case anybody from the general public needs to see those numbers again.
I guess my only suggestion was as a punch card
why can't we sell a punch card all year long? I mean, if it's there, we can sell a punch card for $50 for the punch, you know what I mean? We put
Are you talking about carrying it over from one year
Well,
to the
carrying
next?
over, yes, I think is fine. That's kind of what we talked about the last meeting a little bit. But then it's also, there was a discount price to buy a punch card, and then you couldn't buy it after a certain point.
June 1st.
Yeah, June 1st.
But this one here says the punch cards are available after June 1st.
No, but if you read
No,
its entire context, it basically states that that was for that one time only.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to say is that, do we have to limit it to one time only? Can we make it where if they walk into the pool in the middle of July, they can buy a punch card?
If you want to set the fees at a different,
Well, they can buy a punch card at any time. It was only the discounted fee that was only, it was only good from
Okay.
when we opened May, whatever it was, to June 1st. It was like a grand opening discount type thing.
Okay. So the $50 punch card is available anytime.
you can buy them now.
All right. I thought that was the case, and then when the lady said last week that, or last meeting, that it wasn't available to buy them, I thought that was a
No, you can buy 'em.
misconception, so, okay.
You can only buy one, though, I think she said,
At the discounted rate, correct.
per household.
So that's gone now. The pool's open. Are we gonna do that in May this year?
We haven't talked
We haven't
about
talked
it.
about that.
We haven't talked
So that's
about
not
that.
even an
We-
issue anymore.
We can discuss that.
That was a grand opening only, now
That
you
was
can
a
buy
grand
punch cards
opening
you
only.
want.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fine too.
We're
I just wanna
open-
make clear
Be
that.
open
that's
for
all.
discussion.
Any more discussion? If not, we'll take a motion to accept it in the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Patke, accept in the minutes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Did you need a second? Was that?
Holtmeyer was the second.
Holtmeyer was
Holtmeyer
the
the
second.
second?
Yeah. Okay.
Mayor's report?
Sandy couldn't make it tonight. The only thing that I think she wanted to pass along was for any of the candidates, we did this a year ago, for any new candidates, if they wanted to go ahead and meet with myself and Sandy to discuss or ask questions about city business, et cetera, we are available. And Sherry sent out invites to all the candidates, even you long-term people, if you wanted to meet with us, we would be happy to meet with you. Anyway, we did get some feedback from some, and we got some appointments set up, but just letting everybody know that if they want to go ahead and meet with us, we're more than available. And get with Sherry if you need to, first, to set up a time. I think that's all the mayor had.
City administrators report?
I just have one quick short item, hopefully in executive session for council.
Council comments?
I have one thing. John, how did Big Trash go today?
I didn't receive any reports of anything negative or positive.
Did we ever figure out what was one item, what was two items? We talked about that last time. We talked about a kitchen table
Right.
and 4 chairs. Is that one item, or is that 5 items, or is that 2 items, or whatever? You know, did
I
we
don't
ever-
have an answer for you because that situation hasn't came up yet, but did something happen that I'm not?
No, that's,
Oh.
that's an example that you used.
Yeah, yes.
Last time when we were
I-
talking, you said, I don't know.
I reiterated.
Washer and dryer is, you know,
Yeah.
is one item, or if it's
I reiterated to them that a kitchen with a set of chairs is 2 items, okay, even though there's 4 chairs. Could I foresee that being done on any given day separately? Yes, I could. Will I get them back and educate them that that's 2 items? I will. So it's not a moving target, but you also have to understand that there's multiple people doing on the job site at any given day, so they will need some education as things progress. Yeah, sorry.
That's good, nothing, you know.
I talked to Tony at 5:15 today. He did notice on his way back through town that there were items set out for tomorrow, mattresses and things, so I would anticipate those to get picked up. I wasn't necessarily looking for a problem or following up with anyone, so no news was good news. But I do think, I do think that some things will have to get worked through as we progress through this a little bit.
That's new.
So, and I would also add that they do this in other communities, so it's not like the concept is new. So,
But I mean, it's new for us. So.
it's new for us, it's not new for
Growing
their
pains,
operation.
Little growing pains.
John, does the city, through Waste Management, do they take care of South Winds Apartments?
It's Waste Connections, real quick, just to make sure,
Excuse me.
2 different companies, but just to be clear. They do, yes.
Well, that really looks bad.
You have an issue with, that is when you have a situation where landlords don't take care of their own property, you cannot allow your contract to clean up messes that tenants leave. That would be a situation where the building department would get involved from a code enforcement with the police to clean those things up. I've driven through those multiple times. Tony will attest to this as well. Tenants tend to just throw their stuff wherever they want at some locations, and some landlords don't.
Yeah, I went through this today, and the dumpsters were overloaded, stuff coming out of them, stuff all along the side of them, and, spilling out into the street. A lot of large items sitting out there. I don't know if it's their day for a large item or not, but
It's not.
It just really looked bad. Really looked bad.
Yeah, I can definitely look into situations. The problem that you have with Southwinds, any given building will have multiple owners.
Yes.
Pick a number, there may be 10 units, there may be 5 different owners per unit. A lot of them point at each other as the problem. It just is a management nightmare. I don't know how we even enforce something like that when you can't figure out who is the actual owner of the material that's there. So I don't have a solution to keep it clean, to be honest with you.
We will keep looking into.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to find one. That is really bad.
I got just another comment. Sal, I know last week on the newspaper came out and we have a headline of a $7 million redevelopment, was that a surprise to you?
No, I mean, we had been working with the company. They just didn't want to do a major press release,
Gotcha.
like a joint one.
Gotcha. I mean, it was completely a surprise to me. I don't know when.
Me too.
And I don't want to say that we're deserving of anything else other than explanation, but just an update when something like that is happening. What can we be told? Like I said, they don't want a huge press release. I get that.
Yeah.
But
So they were,
the goings on of what we have.
when they're still working with possible state incentives, they can't have a press release done or else they can be disqualified. Now, if the Missourian finds a permit like they did and reports on it, that's different, but they can't, there's some incentives that you can't go and do.
It's not advantageous for an industry to go ahead and to make an announcement like that if they may be applying for some incentives and there's a but-for test that they have to go ahead and pass. And so they're hesitant to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
I will say from my days in doing economic development, that is strictly up to the community, or not the community, sorry, the company or the industry to go ahead and make that, whether or not they choose to go ahead and make that statement.
Yep. We had the state in a couple months ago, did a tour with them, met with the company. It didn't have wages that qualified for any local incentives, but it did for state. And so it's just made the connection and said, and if you need anything else, we're here. So.
We've talked about this before, and I think maybe what Jeff is trying to get to is we find out about things that in the paper before we find out in the city council meeting. And is there any way that we can get just an email or something like that? Don't have to give us the name. Just say there's somebody who probably wants to come to town and do something. Just keep us informed somehow before somebody comes.
A little more
and says,
transparent.
They come and ask you on a Saturday after reading Friday night's paper, and you go, I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of a shocker when you can't answer somebody's question when they read it in Missourian.
$7 million.
Oh, it's similar to what we do when we send you our activities. Mm-hmm. We can't list names and things in there.
I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying.
I know, but
that's what's
I would
similar.
sit there and say that you still have situations where the industry does not. Ethan wants to be the investigative reporter that he is. He has every right to go out there and go find his story. Mm-hmm. That he's not going to get it from Sal or I because we've got a confidence agreement that we have with those industries. So it's really up to those industries whether or not they want that information out. If Ethan does a story, that's between Ethan and that industry, not the city.
Hey, we need to ask Ethan to send us an email instead.
If you want to make arrangements with Ethan, you can do that. That's fine.
Join the city council.
Then you might not find it out anyway because Ethan wouldn't be doing the reporting.
You can do both jobs.
Okay. Anyway, but I just, in defense, that's it. You got a lot of times, and we have some very sensitive industries that do not want that information
Yeah.
out.
I mean, I didn't even give it a project name because we weren't working with them on anything locally. We made the connection with the state, said, we're here if we need you, if you need us, and kind of let them run with it. So when we got the permit in, you know, I said, oh, they are to that point. I didn't even know they were to that point yet until the permit was in, so.
Well, that answers my question. I mean, because I remember from being on 353 that,
Yeah.
you know, you have project names and it goes on for,
Yep.
some for 6 months, some for 6 years. I mean,
That's
I get
right.
it.
Yep.
If this is one that wasn't that,
Yeah, I didn't even give it a project name because there was nothing, to be honest, they weren't asking anything of the city. We, you know, said if you need help with the press release, they said no. Said, other than the state connection, you know, there's nothing really else they needed from us, so.
well, all I can ask for, those that can, it can be information privy to us, that'd be great. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks.
City Attorney's Report, public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Swernia?
Yes.
Solentrop?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Wessels? Reed?
Yep.
Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.